Yo, what's up guys, your boy Nitrostorm here, welcome back to my class. We're going to be talking about Zani, the first anniversary unit for Wuthering Waves and how she may have shifted Wuthering Waves' future forever. First things first, a brief overview on Zani. For those that don't know, she is a character that takes advantage of the Spectral Frazzle debuff. She is a Spectral DPS, and with those stacks of Spectral Frazzle, she makes it her own. She basically gets beefed up to the max, activate her ult, she transforms into beast mode, and then a lot of the damage coming from her Forte circuit, and that's it. If you want more and like a guide on Zani, you can watch my previous video or an actual guide on YouTube. Now, what is this video about specifically? Well, we're going to be going through the current state of Wuwa briefly, just for some context. We're next going to be comparing it to Honkai Star Rail, and then last but not least, talk about the potential future of Wuthering Waves' quote-unquote meta. So first things first, as you can see at the T0 level for both the DPS and the sub DPS, it's a very colorful roster with a variety of characters not appearing more than once, except for Phoebe, not appearing more than once on the top. And then obviously we have another caveat with the support characters, but we rarely get dedicated support characters so far, so we still can't ignore that Showkeeper and Verena at the top though. Now, comparing to HSR, please note that this is not comparing the power creep. So before any fires have been set, this is not comparing the power creep, nor will it mention power creep at all when comparing these two games. You'll see what I mean in terms of why I'm comparing them in a bit. We'll first start off with Wuthering Waves. So we've got these two, you got your boy Spectral Rover as well as Phoebe. Both of them are your Spectral Frazzle supports. They both can apply Spectral Frazzle and both of them are going to be good for Zani, and both are good. Now keep in mind, these two are currently the only two characters in the entire game that can apply the Spectral Frazzle debuff in the first place, basically limiting our options heavily. And we have to consider, we have to acknowledge that Phoebe is the premium 5-star support option for Zani due to how well she works with Spectral Frazzle. Now, of course, this may change later when they add more Spectral characters in the future, but for the time being, we only have these two. Now, let's move on to HSR. Now, we've got Harmony MC and we've got Fug You. So these are both Super Break supports. Now, these two are both really good as well with one of the recent DPS units, Rapper, who is a Super Break DPS, and both of them are good. We have to consider, out of these two, again, as you may have expected, you might see where this is going. Fug You is the premium 5-star support for Super Break for Raptor. So, you may see where I'm going here already with Honkai Star Rail and Wuthering Waves. There's a similarity in this first instance, right? But this is good, right? Because we have a free-to-play option and then we have a premium option if you do wish to have that option. So this is all good. It shows that, there's free-to-play options for characters that you want to use with. Now, Honkai Star Rail also has recently had their anniversary with the release of Castoris. And, well, undoubtedly she is OP from what I've seen. And we're going to be ignoring all of the other caveats about Castoris because that is besides the point here. Moving on, as you can see, we've got Remembrance MC and Tribi. These are both high HP supports. Castoris likes to work with lots of HP because more HP lost and more HP healed brings up her ult bar for the dragon to come out faster. And besides that point, they are technically strong for all teams, so it's not only Castoris, but again, that's besides the point. But I thought I should mention that just in case we have people speaking up. Now, as I mentioned, both are great for Castoris, and you know what? Both are used together with Castoris, Now, moving on, as you can see, we've got Rapper on the left, Castoris on the right, and the one link that they have between the two is that they both like having main character in their team. So for example, Harmony MC for Rapper, Remembrance MC for Castoris. Now, we all acknowledge that we can't use both at the same time when doing endgame content, for example, MOC or, pure fiction, stuff like that. So let's say, for example, you want to use Harmony MC for Rapper because you don't want to use Fug You. So you say Fug You to Fug You, But at this point, because you're not using Fog You anymore, you can't use Remembrance MC for Caster Risk because you're already using Harmony MC for Rapper. And now at this point, preferably you'd want to have Tribby, both Tribby and Harmony MC, so that both at least Rapper and Caster Risk can perform really well. May not be the best performance, but they can still perform really well because you at least have one of the good supports with them. Now, let's switch things up. Now, what if we use Remembrance MC for Caster Risk instead because you want to use Fog You? Or because you don't want to use Tribby. But in this case, if you also don't want, let's say you don't want both Tribby and Fog You, well now if you use Remembrance MC for Caster Risk, well Fog You will now say Fog You to you because you have to get her now. Technically you have, well, you know, have to is a very strong word, but you know, for this example, you would need to use Fog You in this case because you're not using Harmony MC anymore, just to keep both of these two teams performing well, right? But just a caveat here, because while I do say you don't need Tribby, it's just like a bit of a caveat in regards to like Caster Risk's team comp in regards to this. So in this case, for example, Harmony MC, I mean, Remembrance MC is actually used for both with Tribby and without Tribby. So technically speaking, Tribby's free-to-play option would actually be Rowan May because they HSR recently has this new shop where you can buy premium units, and currently Rowan May and Luocha are in the shop, so you know there is that to consider. So just a quick caveat there in regards to, you know, not needing Tribby. Now, Wuthering Waves is their turn. So keep in mind this next part here is purely speculative because this is now talking about the future characters who are not out yet, and I don't know if they're actually coming out. I'm only guessing based on this, right? As I mentioned here, spoilers. You're good if you finish 2.2, which is the last patch. Now, as you can see here, we've got the latest 4-cost echo here, Reminiscence, Fleur de Lis. And the part at the bottom here, the section here says, if equipped in the main slot by Rover Arrow or ? Grant more arrow damage bonus. And well, if you've, you know, participated in the story and, you know, you read the story, well, my guess is probably as good as yours, but my assumption is Cartethia, right? And because it's arrow related, this ties into my next slide here, where we're going to be talking about Arrow Rover and Shakona, who was recently announced alongside Zani. Both of these two are Arrow Erosion support characters, and at this point, as you may have noticed, these two are the only two characters in the entire game that provides Arrow Erosion. And so again, limited options as to who we can use as a support. But again, they would both be good supports for a potential Arrow Erosion based DPS in the future. Maybe Cartethia, maybe not. And in this case, perhaps maybe both of them together might be good for the upcoming Arrow Erosion DPS that may be or may not be Cartethia. So we're going to have to do the same thing with Wuthering Waves. So in this case, we'll start off with Spectral MC. Let's say you don't want to pull for Phoebe and you want to use Spectral Rover for Zani. That is perfectly fine. But in the future, what if you don't want to get Shakona either? Well, unfortunately, you may have to, because if Zani's kit is going to be, no, if Cartethia's kit or a future Arrow Erosion DPS is going to be any similar to Zani's kit, well, then you might have to pull for Cartethia. I mean, you might have to pull for Cartethia support or potentially Cartethia support Shakona, because she will be the premium 5-star Arrow Erosion support. Now, just a few caveats that I want to preface here. Keep in mind that Rover could be shared in TOA once, right? So you can have like one team, let's say in Hazard Tower, the middle tower, you have Arrow Rover at the first team, Spectral Rover for the second team, and that's Rover's 10 cost completely used up, right? That can be possible to use both. Now, there's also the Echo loadout. Due to this, if you really wanted to, you can, you know, relatively easily switch between Spectral and Arrow, you know, back and forth, because you have Echo loadout saving the Echoes, so you don't have to manually equip the correct Echoes every time. You can just easily switch. So, you know, if you wish, you can do that as well. That is possible. And now the second caveat here with the Cartethia bit at the bottom, again, it's only speculation. I'm not even sure if she will even come out. My guess is as good as yours on who that question mark is. And even if it is her, or if they do come out, I'm not sure if they would even need Aero Erosion. Again, just to preface this, but for the sake of the argument, they might need him. Now let's switch sides. Aero Rover, let's say we need him because we don't want Shakona. Well, in this case, Spectral Rover is now out of business. You would now need Phoebe to compensate for the lack of Spectral Frazzle applicators, because she's the only one left outside the Spectral Rover. But if Aero Rover is already being used, you get the point here. So you see there's been the link between the two now, and as you notice here, before and after HSR and Wuthering Waves. We've got, you know, we've already gone through this, but I'm just showing you like a left and right kind of deal. You kind of see where I'm going here. Now, preferably, I would like to put Zani at the same time as Castoris, but Wuthering Waves started with Zani with this kind of situation, so I can't actually go back in time for a previous banner because it never happened until now. Again, just keep in mind of the caveats that I provided to you earlier in this video. And what I wish would happen is that the future Aero Erosion or Aero DPS that's coming out in the future is not as reliant on the debuff Aero Erosion as much as Zani is. Right? I'm just hoping. Now, what is the point of that section right there? Well, there seems to be a potential introduction from Wuthering Waves of a dependency between multiple premium units. Now, this is not the same, you know, let's not get this confused with the word synergy, because synergy means they can work well together, but dependency is leaning more so towards that character potentially needing a certain character in order to function. And Zani is like the closest thing to that. We're not saying that she is unusable outside of not having Spectral Frazzle applicators, but her gameplay is definitely affected. Now, what is the potential loop for this dependency? Well, new main character is a great support. So we found this out when Phoebe came out and she was the DPS and MC was the Spectral Frazzle applicator. He was a support. They were good. Now, with the release of Zani, while the wording doesn't really make sense, we do find out that Phoebe is actually a premium support option for Zani due to the amount of Spectral Frazzle related things that she has in her kit, as well as the amount of Spectral Frazzle applications that she's able to do. And then the last bit here, it might repeat in the future for future characters. There's high potential already in regards to Aero Erosion, so you know, I'm technically not really looking forward to that. Now, as I've been talking about Zani earlier, Zani's case is technically worse because without Spectral Rover or Phoebe, Zani will literally feel bad to play, because where is the Frazzle going to come from if you're not using any of these two characters, right? Let's say, for example, you're using Aero Rover and you didn't pull for Phoebe. Well, what is Zani left with, right? In which case, we would then either need to pull, right? Need to pull or wait for a new Spectral Frazzle support. I mean, this could have been alleviated if, you know, they would release a 4-star unit alongside Zani that also has Spectral Frazzle capabilities. I mean, that would have been an easy fix, in my opinion. Now, last section here, potential future of Wuthering Waves, quote-unquote meta. Now, scoped in, this might continue to occur in the future, which I'm not really looking forward to, which would quote-unquote encourage players to pull for more units than their intended target. So in this case, Zani, and then they would feel like they would need to pull for Phoebe because she's just really good with her, right? Even though you don't quote-unquote need her, there's still that feeling, right? It's a negative feeling. And at the end, there might be an increased likelihood of burnout because now you're pulling for teams rather than just pulling for who you want to play. Now, scoped out in another angle, it's probably fine if it doesn't affect the overall gameplay experience negatively, right? As in, with or without the premium unit support for that new character, if the gameplay is still basically the same, it doesn't affect it too much, then it's fine, right? Now, it's also fine, these two would have to both apply at the same time if they're still able to compete with other teams without their premium 5s or support, then it's probably fine. And again, this will also have to apply all three at the same time. It's probably fine if they also if we also have access to multiple free-to-play alternatives, for example, having a 4-star that would have any spectrofrazzle application capabilities. Now, my final thoughts. If you've been watching until here, thank you so much. As I've mentioned before, it's not a good look because she is a anniversary unit, right? Anniversary units are mainly known to be like your big characters, right? You know, very strong, you know, stuff like that. And the fact that she's a reliant to another character, you know, it's kind of like promoting like, oh, you have to pull, you know? Now, number 2, other elements have their own debuffs as well. So as you can see, as I mentioned earlier, Aero Erosion, Spectral Frazzle, Havoc, Fusion, and the other elements also have the same thing here. So I'm technically not looking forward to that. If the Aero version is any similar to Zani, I'm not looking forward to any of these other ones as well, because I'm just going to pray that I like all the characters involved in that specific element. Otherwise, I'm going to be a bit sad. Now, I'm hoping that this doesn't happen again, but you know, I'm just a single voice in a major community, in a major crowd. I'm not sure if it doesn't, because it might happen again, it might not. We'll just have to wait and see. And last but not least, Zani is fun, man. Her animations are insane. I've seen the gameplay. I've seen my friends play Zani. It's cinema. It is cinema. I cannot deny. But I really just don't like the premise of how Zani is unable to provide her own Spectral Frazzle stacks. Come on, at least have her be able to do like 1 or 2 or something, right? But, you know, it is what it is. It is very unfortunate. But in any case, thank you all for watching this video. If you've been watching until now, I really appreciate it. If you have any thoughts in regards to this, do let me know down in the comments below. This is more so a discussion piece. This is just something that I've noticed in regards to Zani and how things might be developing in the future. I really don't want it to lead it down this route, because the idea of having to pull multiple characters just for the main character that you like to quote-unquote work sets a really bad precedent on what the future might be like, and I really hope that is not the case. Like, I just want to pull a character that I like, and then if there's another character that I like in the future, I want to pull that. And then if they happen to have good synergy, that's great. Depending on another character, that is a totally different story. So please don't mix up synergy and dependency. Good synergy is fine. Being dependent on another unit is not fine. In any case, that's my final words on this. Do let me know in the comments below for anything you want to say. I will respond. But yeah, I have high hopes. Hopefully this is, you know, like an experiment from Kuro. Maybe they'll realize that it's not really a good idea, and then they'll refrain from doing that again in the future. That's my hope. But yeah, it's been your boy Nitrostorm. Let me know what you think down below. I'll be sure to respond. I'll see you guys in the next stream or video. Peace.